Hello, everybody. Big advantage of online learning is you can teach from the beach. Okay,
Yes.
that's
Yeah.
my joke. All right. All
Or
right.
you can make apps make you look like you're at the beach.
Yeah. All right. All right. So we got a few different topics we want to get to wrap up week one. We're going to talk about problems with quizzes, some confusion about sampling methods, and kind of a big picture thing about the course. All right. So Tiffany.
So what we noticed first we'll talk about the sampling discussion board. So one of the things we noticed is that, and maybe Macmillan's text isn't as clear as we thought it was. So John has created a non-tech visual for you to see. So it's important to know that probability sampling only happens in quantitative research. Non-probability sampling, on the other side, there are two different types that you read about. You read about purposeful and about convenience. Both of those different types of non-probability sampling can be in qualitative or quantitative research. Convenience sampling means you get people who are available to you right away. Purposeful sampling means you have some reasoning behind who you're choosing, albeit not a random sample. So hopefully that very technologically advanced flowchart that John drew for us will be helpful to you as we move on in the course. Anything to add, John?
I'm confused. Was it backwards to you or was it forwards?
It was forwards.
Oh, okay. To me, it was like I was looking in a mirror.
Yes, that makes sense.
Oh, it doesn't to me, but I got my finger going the right direction anyway. All right. A business thing we want to talk about is we've had all kinds of technical issues with the quizzes. We think we've got them straightened out, but we want to say whether we've got them straightened out or not. The big thing is don't worry about the grades associated with them. You get part of your participation grade is just for doing the quiz. If you don't do the quizzes at all, that will hurt your participation grade. But how well or poorly you do, whether you're answering questions wrong or our settings are wrong, it doesn't matter. Just taking the quizzes is what counts for points. Of course, what we do care about is that you learn from taking the quiz. And so after you take the quizzes, you should get feedback telling you what the right answer was, and often why it was the right answer. That is important that you get that feedback, and we believe we've got that working now.
And the one thing that I'll add to that is what we sometimes use the quizzes for is we'll look in there and see if there's something in common that all of you are getting wrong. Then obviously that's something that we can add to one of our weekly videos to clarify for everybody. So it's really data gathering for us as instructors too. So the one thing I just want to say is just stop worrying about what the grade says when you're done with the quiz, because it doesn't count anyway. It's basically to demonstrate where you're learning at.
Right. I'm trying to share a screen on the rubric here, Tiffany.
Oh, okay. I was wondering why it went black all of a sudden.
It's not sharing the way I want it to. Let me try one more time here. That's interesting. Figured it out. If I have my Word document minimized, and
There it is.
then it's black.
Okay.
Right. So we wanted to bring up some changes in the individual contributions to the literature review project rubric. So everybody's going to get 21 points for the literature review for your final grade in terms of your work as a group. But you're also going to get graded individually based on your individual contributions. And the rubric follows pretty much the expectations that are outlined in each of the modules. So you're going to get at the end some overall points just for meeting all your deadlines and for tagging all the articles and all the notes that you put into Zotero with your name. But there are several things that are coming up in the modules we're working on now and at the beginning of next week that we expect to be done before you start your next Google Hangout next Wednesday. So that's when Tiffany and I are going to make sure everybody's got it done, and then assign points for these elements of the rubric. So number of articles, everybody should have at least 10 articles, and at least 10 of them should be 6 of them should be primary source. You should have analyzed the participant sampling in your primary source articles with notes summarizing the basic information and doing some tagging about what kind of participant sampling it is. Random sampling, purposeful sampling, etc. And also notes and tags about measurement and data collection. All of this is spelled out in the modules, but we just want to point out to you that there are points associated with getting that done. And that's just a way for us to make sure that everybody's pulling their weight in the group.
And not that we have any doubt that anybody would pull their weight, but again, it gives you points for doing what we've asked you to do and what's good for your learning process in the course.
So now we want to talk a little bit about the big picture with some of the things that we're hoping that you'll learn from doing the literature review, right? And Tiffany and I had just talked about this before the Hangout, and Tiffany, I thought you really said it well, so I want to flip it back to you.
Well, I hope I remember exactly what I said. So the big picture of all this is that we want all of you to be able to be articulate about your areas of research, and that articulation is going to be valuable whether you plan to continue on, whether you plan to take the thesis option of your major, or whether you're going to choose not to do that. But if you choose the thesis option of your major, then it's likely you'll have obtained a good part of what you might do your thesis on during this course. You'll definitely have obtained the skills needed to perform a quality literature review for that master's thesis. So that's good for those folks who are going to be looking to do a master's thesis in their programs. But the other piece that's also equally important is that when you have an MED attached to your name, people expect that you're able to professionally talk about your area of expertise. And the opportunity to do that through this course is going to be scaffolded in the last 2 weeks so that you're able to defend what it is that you found out through your research, because that's an expectation of somebody with an MED.
So Tiffany, actually you did say that pretty much the way you did before, even better, I'd say.
Yes.
That was really clear and good. And I just want to add on to the last thing that you said, which is about the defense. So if you do a thesis in your master's program, it'll basically be composed of a literature review that leads up to some primary source research you do on your own. And then you do the research. And then the last part of it is you take all that work and you go before a committee and you defend it. And that committee asks you, you present, but you also answer questions from that committee. And if you've done your work well, you're really hoping they'll ask you tough questions, because if they ask you softball or easy questions, you don't get a chance to show off everything that you learned. So you hope for professional but tough questions, and then you can kind of show off everything that you've learned about your topic. So we want to prepare you for that process here in this course. So when we get to the final week of the semester, you're going to be recording your Hangouts like Tiffany and I are doing now. And you're going to be presenting on your literature review, and then we'll have some questions from the other groups toward you. And we're hoping that you'll ask good questions, and that the process of being asked questions will help prepare you for that, what it's like to defend a thesis.
And so in the Google Hangout that you'll do the second to last week of the class, one way that we're going to start preparing for this is that each of you are going to come up with a couple good, professional, but challenging questions to ask each other within your groups. So you have that comfort level, but you still have the opportunity to ask those questions in those Hangouts. And of course, John and I will be along for the ride to help guide you if you need some guidance on that. And then the following week, you'll be asked to individually post in response to the discussion board where the groups are going to load up their videos, and hopefully you'll ask some of those good, professional but challenging questions to those groups. So that's the big picture of the entire course, really.
And so we know we've thrown a lot at you this week, and we even just right now we're throwing a lot at you in what's going to happen over the next 4 or 5 weeks. But the process will unfold step by step. So kind of trust us on that. We know how to do the process, and we're going to take you there. You're going to be successful at the end. And I want to say I'm personally really happy with the first week of the course. This is the first time that we've done Zotero with groups in an online environment, and this is also the first time we've taken the Google Hangouts to the extent that we have this week. And we knew there were some technical challenges in doing all that, and it's actually turned out really, really well. So I'm very happy about the first week.
And as am I, and I really appreciate the fact that you all have worked well together, and where there have been schedule changes needed within individual groups, you've all been very flexible with each other and kind and compassionate when folks are having some technical difficulties. I think the groups are working very well together, and I look forward to see what unfolds for the rest of the course. I'm really excited. You all have some great topics that you're researching. So one of the best things about this for me, and I'm sure John would agree with this, is that we get to learn about areas of research that we don't get to get into very much. So that's one of the side benefits of teaching this course, is I get to learn extra information about areas that aren't really in my expertise. So that's a really cool experience for us as academics.
Yeah, I do agree with that. I've got one group doing sports injury prevention, and that's a topic that I've never researched, and I've never had a group research. So things like that make it interesting, keep it fresh. All right, thanks everybody.
Thanks so much. Enjoy your weekend.